What's up, wellness besties? It is that time again for the Socialite Spill. That's where I give you the herbal and the verbal tea of what's going on in latest trends. We review some of your Q&A from the last few episodes, and it's our bestie time. So as besties do, pull up a chair and let's catch up. What's up, wellness junkies? It's the girl with the business brain and yoga body, Sabrina Zealous, welcoming you to Yoga Socialite. This is the place where asana meets aesthetics. So we're here for the good vibes, the cute fits, and the real talk. Let's get into it. Okay, so it's bestie time, right? We are going to start off with just a little life catch up, and I'm going to try to add in clips to this because, as you guys know, I don't always do this, but sometimes, like today, the episode is a day behind, and I do apologize for that. When I go into our catch-up time, which I'm doing right now, I mean, you will understand why. First and foremost, this week has been a whirlwind. It feels like, it's already been 2 weeks since I did our big zoo yoga thing that we're doing now bi-monthly, and I'm like, how has it already been 2 weeks? And I'm about to teach the Z Yoga class again, but somehow it is. So I'm really excited about that. That's coming up, but it just feels like the last 2 weekends have just blended and melted all together. So we had Zoo Yoga on right before the previous episode. Then we had our yoga open house right after. And then this last weekend, I had so many things happening. I want to say Friday was pretty chill, but I can't even remember because all of it's like blurring together. I can't even remember what I did on that Friday. But Saturday, was it Saturday? Oh my gosh, I think all of these things happened on a Sunday. No, it was Saturday. Okay, wait a second. I was like, whoa, how did I get all that stuff done in one day? Okay, so Saturday, Porsche has a Cars and Coffee event. You've heard me talk about the Porsche Cars and Coffee event before, and it's one of my favorite events to attend because you get to see some really cool vintage Porsches. You get to see just all kinds of like Porsches that you normally would not see, stuff that you might see on the road, but like you get to be like up close and personal with the Porsches, the owners. There's free coffee, there's pastries. You get to see like what's new in the dealership. It's a whole vibe, and they do it once a month, the first Saturday of each month. And it's going to end soon here in the desert because eventually it's going to get hot and it's going to be too hot for all of us to be out there, and then it'll pick back up. So when it happens, it happens. And the last few of these have been just huge. Just amazing and huge turnouts and a whole bunch of different cars that you've never seen before. It was amazing. So in doing our Cars and Coffee, we have met a friend who is the GM for GMG Racing. If you don't know what GMG Racing is, I know you're like, this is Yoga Socialite. Why are we talking about cars and racing? Well, that's the socialite part of this. We're getting into like my other side, my other loves, my other interests. Our good friend, girlfriend, works for GMG Racing, and we ended up meeting her boss and have a connection with them there. And we went out to Thermal Race Club this weekend after the Cars and Coffee event. So we already were up at 5:45 to be ready and at the Porsche dealership for Cars and Coffee. Then we go to Thermal, and Thermal Race Club, is amazing. It's out in the middle of nowhere for good reason, but there's these amazing homes. The collection of cars out there is so cool. There's so many different racing tracks, and we got to, not racing tracks, but racing companies. True Speed is out there. If you're a racing person, you know who True Speed is. GMG Racing, as I just mentioned. And we got to check out the new GMG Racing facility. It is phenomenal. It's so well done. The decor is ridiculous. I got to see two Porsches that are the only two in the entire world. Well, I guess not in the entire world. That was a little much. The only two in the United States, I believe, that are available in the United States. There's only a certain amount of them made, and there's only two in the United States, and they have two in their showroom, and it was just so cool. So if you don't know about me personally, maybe that you're just now getting into the podcast, I am a big racing person. There's a lot of different interests of mine. I love yoga. That's why this is primarily Yoga Socialite. But the socialite part of me is I'm into racing. I love like home decor and like HGTV kind of things. Hello, I'm marrying a contractor. And there's these different elements of it. So long story short, I had that this weekend. And then our friend Marty, this is one of our last weekends with him. And so we went from just like full throttle. So from like last weekend, a whole bunch of yoga events, from teaching at the zoo to our open house at the studio, which had over 200 people, to this weekend, spending some time with Marty before he leaves. He's a race guy too. So, you know, he's going out with us to the Cars and Coffee, and then out to Thermal to see True Speed and GMG Racing. And you just never know who you're going to meet in these environments. And I think it's always important, in tying this back into the yoga, to take all the things that we learn from the pod and these different topics that we're experiencing and bring it all together, because moving in silence and calling into what you want, and also being able to be in different environments and seeing yourself in these environments and embracing the environment that you're in. So as we were out there, I had the pleasure of meeting the owner of the racetrack. And for many of you, you'd be surprised, the owner is a husband and wife couple, and the wife is a brown girl, just like me. And it was just so refreshing to see this woman of power. And I didn't even get to meet her, but just talking to her husband and getting to connect with him, and him saying like some of the same things that I've experienced out here in the desert. Like his wife says the same stuff. And it's like, it's just really interesting to see. So you never know who you're going to meet, and keeping the learning lessons that we have from this podcast helps with those interactions where you're in a situation where you don't know these people, but you're able to communicate and be yourself and be true to yourself, and let yourself glow and move in silence, and just the amount of energy that creates. And you never know where that's going to take you or where that might pan out later, but it's just a really nice experience to have. So I kind of wanted to call that out. So this weekend has just been a blur. And on top of that, our friends at Beau Concept had a big like Oscar party. So we got all dressed up and stuff for that. After I worked at the studio that day, I went and did that after. So it's been like, woo. And usually I record the pod on Monday or Tuesday, but then I had a big meeting with the owner of our yoga studio, and just running around getting stuff done for the studio. I mean, we're redoing some of the things in the women's room and upgrading some things in the women's room of the studio right now. So it has been a blur. So that's my 10-minute intro of like what's been going on with me. What's been going on with you? Let me pause. Let me not be the friend that overtalks. So what's been going on with you, bestie? Please tell me. Let me know in the comments section below. But something also that I'm way too heavily invested in, especially for the ripe young age of 39, is that I'm so invested in that Bhad Bhabie Alabama Barker drama, y'all. So invested. Carla, I hope you're listening to this. Clarissa, I hope you're listening to this, because they know how invested I am into this Bhad Bhabie Alabama Barker drama. I'm just like mind blown at Bhad Bhabie's song. First of all, I will give Alabama Barker her props. When I first heard her song, I was like, holy cow, this is really good. Like, she did really good. Did it sound like Lotto ghostwrote it? 100%. But I was thinking, man, this is like really good. Then I heard Bhad Bhabie's. Mic drop. Now, many of you know I go to sleep at like 9:30, 10 p.m. Okay, 10 is like pushing it for me, right? And I stayed up the night that Miss Whitman dropped till the 9 o'clock to watch it. Remembered it was dropping, watched it on YouTube, and I watched it like 10 times that night. It was, first of all, it was as good as Kendrick Lamar calling out Drake. I'm sorry, it was. It truly was. For that scale of what they're on, it was like Bhad Bhabie was the Kendrick Lamar in that situation. I hope that when I do these clips, that my clip provider makes this a clip and then Bhad Bhabie reposts me, because, I mean, we're on a yoga podcast and I'm talking about that. That's how trending this is. But I guess you're probably thinking, why am I supporting this beef with yoga? I think it's just, I'm not supporting any celeb beef. I think sometimes it's nice to just have moments where you can just be a normal person. Yogis, sometimes we get so hippy dippy and we get so into the of life that we forget like there's also certain things going on in pop culture and things that maybe it's just like fun and like a little escapism. And for them, their drama is fun. For me, their drama is fun, and it's just interesting to watch. I'm excited to hear like who's going to put out the next track. So that's what's been going on with me. That's our 10-minute intro. But as many of you know, this is also our conversation about the last few episodes. I'm doing some Q&A based off what you DM'd and texted or commented below and things like that. So we're going to do it in order of like the pod that was the most recent, which was the Soft Life. And that pod has been doing really well. A lot of the clips have been trending quite a bit on YouTube Shorts. So thank you for the new people that are following from that. And I want to get in a couple questions that some of you had. The first question is, how do you embrace the soft life without feeling guilty or unproductive? And I think you really have to unlearn hustle culture. I think that, and I've said this before, I said this in the pod, that I am known for praising the struggle. And I mean, I think of Rick Ross' Every Day I'm Hustling song. I remember my dad, rest his soul, would call me when I was in college and, leave me voicemails and be like, every day I'm hustling, kind of thing. So I think about that kind of stuff. But I also think that you have to remember that setting boundaries and embracing your flow state is also just important. There's ebbs and flows. There's times where you really have to put in the work. This week is one of those times I'm really putting in the work. I mean, I could have called off this podcast this week and just said, screw it, I'm going to put it on for next week because I have so much going on. I have everything that's going on from this weekend. Moving into stuff that I have going on at the studio. I'm getting ready to teach tonight, as well as I had like another little brief meeting with our owner, as well as I do all the marketing for some of her other businesses. So I'm doing some of that and getting that stuff prepped and ready and things of that nature. So I could have called it off, but I'm still embracing the soft life. I took it easy with myself this morning. I did a few of the marketing things like from bed, not getting out of bed from it. I made sure to take some time for myself, make myself my matcha, do some self-care things that were important to me. So you have to remember that when you first start off embracing the soft life, sometimes you might feel guilty, but ask yourself, why am I feeling guilty? Start to do that inner work of why does this feel like this? And more than likely, it's just a learned behavior. It's just that so much of our society and culture has taught us that we have to struggle, we have to hustle. But for many of us who have had to work hard our whole lives, I've had to work hard my whole life. And I am very blessed to have grown up in the situations in the family that I have, but I've always been a hard worker. When it comes to getting, intellectually, I'm very book smart, things like that. Certain things come really natural to me. But when it comes to things that I'm not necessarily good at, I have to work very hard to keep myself versed in that. And I think that's why embracing the struggle and the hustle came so easily, because I thought like I have to struggle to be successful. And you don't have to necessarily struggle. You're going to have those ebb and flow states. You're going to have to work hard. Yeah, 100%. And you are going to have to, do your inner work and do the outer work to make it all happen and create those manifestations. But you also can embrace your flow state. I hope that makes sense. I hope I didn't ramble on for too long. What's one habit that made you feel what's one habit that made your life feel softer but still productive? I think the morning routine. And I talked about this, did a deeper dive on the podcast, but having that morning routine, I know I've said this before, people think I'm not a morning person because I go to the yoga studio in the afternoons. No, I took the cards that were given to me and I created a space for softness. I said, hey, I only can get help in the evenings. That's fine. I can only get help in the evenings, and I'm going to take my mornings to myself. I'm going to set myself and fill my cup. So when I need to put it into full gear, I can put it into full gear. A little racing pun there. But I think the morning routine really helps. And I also have moments, like this weekend was such a blur, and so much energy output, not to mention that, I just had some physical things going on that were making me tired this week as well. And I have really planned for this weekend to find more rest. I'm hoping this Friday, fingers crossed, that I don't have to go to the studio in the evening, but I'm hoping this Friday I can just make that like a full rest and recovery day where I truly unplug. Like I may not even come out the guest room, I will lock myself in the guest room and just like be in there, and like it'll be a staycation for myself. So I think that's really important. Okay, our next little podcast Q&A was from our Moving in Silence, The Power of Silence. The first question I got was, when is it okay to share your wins and when should you keep them private? I think you all have discernment on who deserves access to your energy. I think there are times that we should definitely share stuff. If you're about to teach a class and it's, like I have this zoo yoga class coming up, so you're going to see that on the social media for the yoga studio as well as my personal social media. That's something that I'm putting out there. But when I was putting all of this together and working on creating like a corporate partnership with this company, I didn't put that information out there. I worked in silence for that part, but now that we have gotten to this part, I am sharing that. I think you have to work in discernment for that. You have to trust your intuition on what you're sharing. Is it time to share it? And if you're unsure, maybe consult with a friend. You can always DM me. I'm happy to guide you on that as well. How do you deal with people who feel entitled to know your business? Boundaries. I'm engaged now, and so many people like, when are you going to get married? When are you going to get married? When are you going to get married? Like, that's like, as soon as I see someone that hasn't seen us in a while, and I know that's like a typical question that's going to get asked, but boundaries, I don't have a set date. I'm not one of those girls that sit at home planning my wedding. That's just not who I am. Many of you know my personality type. I think my family's just happy that I have said yes to someone, because there have been a few suitors in the past that I've been like, okay, bye-bye. But I'm just enjoying my life with my partner, with my fiance, with the person I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. And when I get to that point, we get to that point, and that's something we'll decide together. But boundaries are a major thing for those who feel entitled to know your business. And sometimes it can be hard when it's friends, family, or loved ones, but I think that's sometimes the most important ones to hold, because if you don't, then you get stuck oversharing things that maybe you weren't comfortable sharing. And the next question is, wow, so timely. How do you know when it's time to let a friendship go? We talked about this on a previous podcast about frenemies and knowing the signs of feeling drained, constant one-sided effort, or misalignment in values or energy. This also goes into moving in silence. Sometimes you have to distance yourself from certain people in certain seasons because of things that you are building and creating. And especially those who may be a friend. They might be a friend, but they don't know how to support your growth. And it's very hard to do, and it can be disheartening. Losing friendships or thinking a friendship was deeper than what it was when it maybe to you it was, but to the other person it wasn't, or whatever the case may be, it can be very disheartening. But you have to remember, one, choose yourself. And I'm not saying that from a selfish perspective. I'm saying that from, if you see all these signs of feeling drained, there's constant one-sided effort, and then you just keep putting yourself out there, then you need to take a step back. Choose yourself, remove yourself from the situation, ask other people, not in a gossipy way, but you can ask other people for their opinions on, am I misinterpreting this? Or how could I do, or even just like, sometimes I'll pray like, God, show me what I'm doing wrong in this situation. Or if I am in the wrong, show me how to correct myself in this situation. And I know it can be hard to step away from friendships. I'd always say before you step away, make the effort to reach out to that friend and have a conversation, and then go from there. And that will tell you where to go. And sometimes you just have to leave a friend on red and continue on with your day. And then if they come back and they come back correct, maybe you have a conversation, maybe you don't. I think stepping away and getting quiet, again, that moving in silence, stepping away and getting quiet will help you determine what are my next actions. Okay, our Glow Up, the Art of Celebrating Yourself episode, just 2 questions from there. How do you celebrate yourself when no one else is clapping? I think you have to celebrate yourself in a few different ways. Sometimes I like to keep a little note section in my phone of when I've done something really good, or if I'm like, something I achieved. That way I can go back and read it, like on days where like things are a little harder for me in achieving something. I also think giving yourself a little self-appreciation. Maybe that's the day that you go and treat yourself to a little Starbucks or give yourself a little treat of some sort. You have to celebrate your own wins because you have to be your own biggest cheerleader to keep pushing yourself through to the next level. What's a recent win you almost brushed off but decided to celebrate? That's an interesting question. I'm having a conversation with myself. What's a recent win I almost brushed off but decided to celebrate? I think probably the most recent win is our open house. Sometimes they've gotten so consistently good that sometimes I forget how they were when I first started at the studio. I mean, my first day was an open house and it was like crickets in there. Mind you, it was an open house that I had put together. So it was like me just learning, okay, this is what's going on with this. But I think it's important, and it was really nice because my fellow teachers and my, teaching staff at the studio really were like, oh my God, another great open house. And that helped me celebrate myself because I was, I kind of got to a place where I was like, oh, okay, that's great. Check, okay, I did my open house for the month. It became something to check off my list. But I needed to celebrate myself and the fact of all the energy and effort that it took to make that open house that great. And then from our Delulu and Discipline pod with Manifest with Action, how do you balance the Delulu, the big dreams, with the discipline, the real effort? I talk about this deeper on the pod, but I would say actionable steps for yourself, trusting the process, but also staying grounded. Have that big dream, but take it into tangible pieces to help you get to that big dream. And then put in the discipline, the real effort, put in that discipline to continue to show up for yourself. Okay, I want to grow on Instagram. I'm going to post daily. Okay, but I really can't post daily because I have a full-time job and I'm really busy and I have kids and whatever. Okay, so what 3 days can I take for myself to post? And can I stay disciplined with myself to do so? That's my little example for you there. What's one thing that you manifested that was Delulu, but it came from discipline? I feel like that came from the same person that said that other question. That's a great question. Part of me would say going out to Thermal that day. Though I had the opportunity to, again, due to like some connections in our Porsche Friends Club. But I think me going that day on that specific day and having the interactions that I had that day was something that I manifested without realizing it. So it was like a conversation had occurred between me and my boyfriend regarding Thermal, and like me going like, oh, I really want to go out there for this. And then this whole connection built for me to go out there, and then getting to be there on a day that they were doing like one of the Indy cars. There's about to be an Indy race out there, and a day that they were doing one of the Indy cars. It's like, holy cow, like, I got to see this car before it's on the track kind of thing. So I would think that. I think also in my life, my social media growing. Someone just reposted one of my podcast clips, and I've been getting alerts all morning of new people following me from this person who did the post, like the repost of my clip. Like they put it in their stories and were like, I love this little pod or something. It was really nice. Thank you for doing that. And that's helping me with my Delulu goal of like, I'm going to get 10K by, mid 2025 kind of thing. Which some of you know, I feel like I've been stuck at like between the 5 to 6K for like a year now. And maybe I've grown more than I think. I need to maybe look at my numbers again. But I had this Delulu thing, like, and I think I even did a little post thinking I'm going to get to 10K after this post or something silly like that. So it looks like I'm probably going to hit that goal. So that's really interesting to see. And that's something that was Delulu, but I've been really disciplined. Many of you know I've been posting very consistently on my social, which is hard to do when you're also posting 3 to 5 times a week on 3 different other social media accounts that you run for your social media side of your business. So yeah, I'm very excited about that. And I feel very blessed. And I thank all of you on YouTube who are helping me get to that as well. And I think also this podcast, staying consistent with this and seeing the fruition from it. So I'm very appreciative of all of that. Well, that's it. That's our pod for the day. That's the tea. It's just a short little catch up. If you're wondering why I'm wearing this little like fur teddy bear coat thing, it's taking everything out of me not to just zip this all the way to the top and just have like this part of my face showing. If you're not listening to this, I put it like right underneath my eyes. That's how I like to sleep. I like to sleep with the fur blanket like literally up to my nose, like I'm like in a cocoon. It's chilly outside today. Man, the weather has been interesting. It's been really beautiful weather. Then it had like a whole dust storm. So you might hear that in my voice today. I'm a little nasally. My leg just went to sleep. Oh my God, my foot's asleep, y'all. God bless. Oh, help. So I'm a little nasally and stuff, but it's chilly today. It's 70, but it's like I do not see the sun. And that means I'm going to be wrapped up in this aloe fur coat for a while. Anywho, thank you so much for listening and watching if you're watching this on YouTube. Thank you I think I want to do the next Socialite Spill. I'm going to go through some of the trolls that I've been getting because some of their comments are just so extra. And I just saw, oh my gosh, I forgot her name. Her name is Amanda on TikTok, and I can't think of her last name right now. I don't know why, but she's super funny. You will know her. She's like a big TikTok person, and she does like these really cute skits, and she's been doing these like things that people have DM'd her and or trolled her, and like she responds to them. I might make an episode of, or at least a YouTube short of some of the ones that I've been getting because some of y'all are so extra. Like the person that told me, like, I can't believe you quoted a Bible verse wearing what you had on. I'm so sorry that God said, come as you are, and maybe so did Nirvana. But yeah, I'm pretty sure God doesn't mind a crop top. I don't know if you know, this is the Yoga Socialite. I do work in yoga, which means I will be wearing yoga clothes. Thank you so much. But maybe I'll do that as like a next YouTube short. And stay tuned. I am going to do a YouTube car review because as many of you know, I got a new car. So I'm very excited for my new Jeep. And I think I'm going to do like a breakdown because when I was looking for my Jeep, people weren't breaking down some of the stuff that I wanted to know about it. So I think I might do that and then like a day in the life too and get back to some just like OG YouTube content. Fingers crossed. That's my Delulu right there. Can I create content outside of the podcast that I can also put on my YouTube? Because I miss making like fun YouTube videos and clothing reviews and things. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching. Have a beautiful day, everyone. Make sure to send me your comments and questions for our next Socialite Spill. Bye, y'all.